Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another edition of the Bengal Tiger Podcast. I am Billy Embody, going to be joined by Shay Dixon and our special guest in just a moment. But do want to remind you guys to subscribe to the Bengal Tiger for just $1 for your first 2 months using the code LSU1. That's LSU, the number 1. Enter that code. Go to BengalTiger.com to redeem it for $1 for your first 2 months when you join our community at the Bengal Tiger. You'll hear our guest talk a little bit about how he's all over the board. So excited for that interview. Also want to remind you that our podcast is presented by our friends at My Perfect Franchise. Andy Ludicky, he's a franchise owner, but he's also a franchise consultant. If you're ready to leave the corporate rat race for the American dream or find a side hustle that works for you and your family while working your current job, Andy can help you find the franchise that makes sense for you. Reach out to him. You can go to his website, myperfectfranchise.net, or email him, Andy, A-N-D-Y, at myperfectfranchise.net, or pick up the phone, 404-973-9901. He can give you his take on the current landscape of franchise opportunities and business ownership, walk you through the path to securing that added income for your family or that side hustle that fulfills your life and brings it full circle for you. Andy Ludicky can help walk you through all of that. He's a franchise consultant. He's been doing it for years, and he wants to help all of our friends at thebengaltiger.com. So it's a huge recruiting weekend as well for LSU. The Tigers are set to host 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 official visitors, including multiple 4-star prospects. Some of the top targets for LSU will be on campus. Head to the Bengal Tiger for more details on that. Also, Friday Night Lights camp kicks off for some of you, maybe just in a few hours if you're listening to this on Friday afternoon, heading into the weekend. It's a great time to be on thebengaltiger.com to get all of our coverage from the official visit weekend. We've got a couple of prospects that maybe could end up Tigers. One who's visiting campus who is already projected to end up at LSU. Tons of scoop on that at thebengaltiger.com. So don't waste any time. Redeem that code LSU1 for $1 for your first 2 months of the Bengal Tiger. Gets you through the Bayou Splash as well. So hope you guys enjoy our next interview on the Bengal Tiger podcast, and we'll catch you next week with another edition of the pod. Hope you guys have a great weekend and enjoy the interview. Welcome back to the Bengal Tiger podcast. We are pleased to be joined by our next guest, a good friend of the Bengal Tiger and one of the hottest names in golf right now. That's Smylie Kaufman, former LSU great. I was looking up the history of LSU golf. There's David Toms, there's Sam Burns, there's Smylie Kaufman. I mean, you are one of the biggest names on the tour right now, just from the standpoint of you're getting to be there every step of the way with some of these guys. So welcome in, Smylie. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no, thank you guys. It's nice to hear some familiar voices and see some familiar faces as well. I love LSU to my core. My granddad went to LSU. My parents played golf at LSU. I took a lot of pride in wearing those letters on my chest, and I'm a diehard. There's just no way around it. I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, so we don't have NFL teams or MLB, no pro teams around us. So my every day is checking on, seeing how everything is doing it from LSU standpoint. So I'm a diehard, and yeah, golf's been a lot of fun, but I really care a lot more about LSU than I do golf. Let's be honest.
I'm on mute. See, Smylie, you do this every day. I'm out here talking on mute on the podcast. We got to give Lucky a shout out, your brother, who is
shout out to
equal
Lucky.
Part diehard LSU. And as you said right before we got on, if you're busy, he keeps you updated, vice versa. So the Kaufman clan's got it, is holding it down, no matter where y'all are at.
We are on 3. I'm not going to expose our username.
Don't do it. Yep. Nope.
It's kind of like similar to that like long thread right now with T-Bob and what his username is. So
I'm scared to dive into that thread.
I'll sometimes go into that thread just seeing what's going on. It's honestly just a hangout in there at this point. But you have to imagine T-Bob's active in there.
Smylie, you played at LSU. Obviously, you've got great ties to the university. How'd you did you always know it was going to be LSU? Was there ever a question if obviously you had your golf career, so I mean how was the recruiting process there? Did you meet any bagmen? Are there bagmen on the golf
No.
side of things? What was that all like?
They're
Getting to
bag
LSU,
men, just not that kind of bag.
No, I had no bagman, and yeah, it was fun, man. The recruiting process was great. Played for an awesome coach, and Chuck Winstead at LSU. We won a national championship the year after I left. We lost in the semis my senior year, so that was tough not to walk away with the national championship ring. But yeah, no, it was always going to be LSU. Auburn tried to make a play, but I've just loved LSU from day one, and honestly, I'm super grateful and thankful for my time there too. Just was able to develop as a player, learned what hard work was all about. And dude, I was in WCA like for a couple years, which is, I don't even know if WCA still houses athletes, but like my neighbors were Odell, like Jarvis, Tyrann Mathieu. Like these are all dudes that it's kind of wild that, in the NFL and had so much success, and we're, amongst it for the most part. I mean, we're kind of, we're the golfers. We're not exactly the big rollers on campus, but they were all like super nice to us. And whether it was playing an occasional beer pong game in college or throwing the football in the yard, it was fun to kind of run into, some of the best athletes on campus.
That crew sounds more dangerous than the JT whole crew that you run around with to me.
No,
they're probably more fun.
It was crazy, man. Just like,
just got them prepared.
It was, we had a good time after college doing some trips and stuff with JC, Jordan, Rick, and now we just go to bed at 9:30 on these trips. So things have changed once you have a kid, and Billy knows all about that life. And yeah, it's it was a lot of fun at LSU. I cherish all my memories, and maybe not so much the memories of WCA. I kind of wish that we had a little better than that when I was in school, but still met so many different people.
And it's a good segue. How is that balance of being that golfer in college, that golfer on tour, but also having the good times? The Baker's Bay trip, that was famous, and then you guys all go back there, I think, with kids and things like that. I mean, just that balance of the lifestyle. How's that line to always walk?
Well, I was probably about 22, 23, 24 when all this is going down. So honestly, life was good. There wasn't a worry in the world, just playing on the PGA Tour, playing well, making a bunch of money doing it. And so it was like, I mean, shit, life was great. And then I went through a spell that wasn't so great and was playing poorly. And so I've kind of seen both ends of the spectrum where the PGA Tour is just the best place in the world, but also, expectations got up, started playing worse, and eventually found my way into doing media. So that's been something that I never expected to do, but I'm very thankful for the, honestly at LSU, I got a marketing degree there. Tommy Karam, was that his name? He was the media.
He's still around. Yeah. Still teaching people media.
Is that his name?
Yeah. Dr. Karam.
Dude. Amazing. Like I learned so much from him, just not really listening. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't planning on having a career in media, but I think just having classes with him and then also getting media training while I was at LSU, I feel like helped me a ton because I've always been kind of an extrovert personality, and I kind of was able to feel comfortable getting into this line of work, but also thankful for LSU too, because like I feel like I was a step ahead with a lot of media stuff just from my experiences there.
You brag on yourself, or I will, for a minute. You're doing all your commentating stuff with NBC, obviously, Golf Channel. You got the Smylie Show. Catch folks up who maybe aren't golf fans or aren't keeping up with you every single week of what you're doing. You're basically Dottie these days, right? I mean, you're a step away in 30 years, probably.
Yeah, no, I'm NBC commentator, mainly on the golf course as an analyst. So I'm the person that tells you how the lie is, what the shot is, what these guys are thinking, things I hear and see and on the ground. So I'm reporting back, and other weeks I'm also in the booth as an analyst. Maybe the weeks that aren't the big weeks now, but I love getting into the booth and kind of working on my training and that, developing that skill, if you will, just learning how to be a really good analyst in the booth. And then, yeah, you mentioned it. The Smylie Show is my podcast, and that's been a lot of fun. And if you're an LSU fan, we had Sam Burns as our second guest, so you can go way back and listen to that. Also, Andrew Whitworth came on as well, and that was a really fun episode. He's epic. Andrew Whitworth is the man. So we mainly talk a lot of golf, covering week to week, just what's kind of going on in this crazy game right now with PGA Tour and Live, and covering the champions from the prior week, but also we talk to some awesome guests that tell some amazing stories. They kind of tell us what they're working on in their games, and a lot of times you kind of hear a little bit about their career and their ups and downs. So it's, for me, for somebody who's been through ups and downs, it's been awesome. It's been very rewarding. Not something I ever envisioned doing, but I love what I'm doing now, and just can't get enough of it.
Billy, can you share the screen of what I just texted you? So Smylie, one of my favorite tweets you had recently was at Pinehurst, all the different, what was it, bushes, different grass. I mean, there might have been a list of like 70 things.
The wire grass.
Oh yeah, here we go. Plants at Pinehurst #2. Did you are we studying here, or are you just carrying that around and then making it up as you go?
No, there was like 75 different grasses. If you're watching, I assume this would be on YouTube, that all these different grasses, and they had the wildest names. And so I just scripted up this tweet that would be a potential call of mine down on the ground. But unfortunately, Dan Hicks came down to me and with hoping that I would give you just a bunch of different grasses on a call. But I couldn't really say Chinese forget-me-not, Mexican clover. I was like, I didn't want to come across as somebody
Morning glory.
yeah, and morning glory. Like, these are just things you just can't say on national television. So I opted out and just kind of laughed it off. But it was a great week at Pinehurst.
I want to get to Sam Burns because he finished really well at Pinehurst.
Yeah, he did.
And then I picked him on Sunday as one of my 3 to go low. But walking with Rory, walking with Bryson on that Sunday, I mean, do you feel it kind of like we're watching on TV? We know how the drama, we know the battle that they're having on these final holes. Do you feel that too as it starts to build? And how do you kind of stay composed during all of that?
It was epic, man. We haven't had golf like that on TV. That just felt like a match play back and forth with 2 heavy hitters. So, for me, it's, I feel like I've had some good experience over the last couple of years to kind of get me into a position to be able to handle what was in front of me. And, it's I'm feeling juicy just like I'm playing, and I have to find a way to instead of doing it with my hands and arms and golf clubs, I'm doing it with a mic in front of me. So it was just very awesome to be a part of just what I consider to be one of the best golf events in the last 10 years, and be right in the middle of it and see what I saw. It was pretty epic.
Yeah, Bryson shot to win it. It's one of the best shots I've seen in a major championship.
Yeah, it's got to be a top 10 shot of all time in a major championship. It's got to be talked about at least in the top 10, and probably definitely a top 3 US Open shot of all time. That's how good it was, and considering that he had to get up and down to win, just impressive, because it's such a hard thing to hit a 50-yard bunker shot. So
Johnson Wagner at the end.
Yeah, Wags is the best. Actually, I just interviewed Wags this morning. He's going to be on the Smylie Show this week, kind of recapping this, awesome. How well he's been doing in the media stuff.
Both of y'all, yeah, that Wag shot, I would have probably whiffed it completely, even as a professional, if he would have run down there and been like, "Do it right now," and hit right up there.
It's so good, man. It was a great week. It really was. And one more major championship left to go at the Open Championship at Troon, and looking forward to it. But I'm in Travelers this week, and so it's our last signature event of the year. The year's kind of flown by, to be honest. And I was talking with Lucky, my brother, on the way to the golf course, and we were kind of mapping out. It's like, hey, what game are we going to go to this year? So I think Ole Miss is kind of the one that I'm like, that's going to be an epic game, right? Like, even if we happen to lose to either USC or South Carolina early in the year, I'm thinking, Tiger Stadium in mid-October, I don't care where it is. There's still hope at that point. There's always going to be hope in October.
And that's what we say in recruiting. It's only June. It's only July. Still got plenty of time.
Can you give me some spark notes on like what I've missed in the last couple of weeks in recruiting? Can you just give me a quick update? What have I missed?
I think Corey Raymond's going to turn the DB room around, corner room, after a lot of 5-stars like DJ Pickett.
Are we getting Pickett?
I think so. I've got them in the lead for Pickett. We'll see.
They're in a very good spot.
Come on, baby. Is he a corner or is he a safety?
He's a corner, a typical right out of a lab corner. I think he's like 6'4", and he's got the wingspan of someone who's 6'8".
Holy shit, that's sick.
Freaky.
So if you do anything down in Zephyr Hills or whatever, stop on by, pay him a visit.
We gotta get him.
Yeah, so LSU does have the number 2 class right now, battling Ohio State. And it's funny, the 24/7 rankings, Billy, we were talking about this the other day, or I think I was on with Moscona maybe talking about it, but it was LSU, Georgia, Ohio State, Bama, maybe Clemson or someone else was the top 5. And I was like, okay, so NIL changed nothing. These are the exact same top 5 that we've had all along. So that's what we're doing here too, Smylie. We're getting through the NIL era. You happy that you were not in the NIL era?
I don't think it would have made a difference for me. But
a little something.
Well, you would not have gotten to live by all your boys at WCA. They would have lived somewhere nicer than that, probably in a house somewhere.
I don't know. The parking lot said otherwise. That we were on different programs.
Yeah,
those are just other students' cars. They're just
the Dodge.
By.
Let's just say Dodge Charger was a friend of the program.
I knew whenever they quit making the Dodge Charger, Saban retired like 3 weeks later, which very smart on his end.
I've been on, I guess when y'all were over at 247 on 3. And so I've kind of like been and been with you on all the bits and all the the heartaches, if you will. And this is obviously not my podcast, but I feel inclined to ask you this question. Shay and Billy, please chime in. I want to hear your Mount Rushmore of just moments and bits on the board, because I have an idea of, like, Jamal Cherry bit with the backpack was like an all-timer. The 5 for 5 was an all-time bit. The Kevin Steele downvotes was an all-timer. And I want to kind of hear, like, I kind of want to hear
my downfall. All of these things are my bits now running years later.
It's the best.
Just turn it into bits. We're good.
And part of and I was all in on the Eric Gaines thing too, because he went to UAB as well. So I went and watched Eric Gaines. I think I sent a picture to you.
Yeah,
I went and watched him. I was like, Eric Gaines in the house. Let's go. The guy was an electric factory.
Oh my God. Yeah. Matty B will text me. He's on like the NBA or basketball Twitter. And he'll text me every month or two when someone like finds Eric Gaines for the first time and tweets about him. There's like, this kid out of UAB is the most up and down highlight reels of all time. So
it was a tough scene. It was a tough scene.
Billy, you want to go first? What are you thinking?
Yeah, I mean, so I always say things on the board the way I would exactly say them. So like, I've got 3 of my best friends are diehard OU fans, and so when we talk about college football, it gets heated. Like they're passionate. They think they're going to walk in the SEC and things are going to be, peachy, and Brent Venables got things on the right track. And when we debate, you'll get a lot, like when you're in a heated discussion with your friends, you'll go, buddy, like, listen to me. Like when I'm telling you X, Y, and Z, and I say that on the board, and all of a sudden it is rolling. Now it's heated on the board. You get into tough discussions with the family sometimes. And I try to keep it 100% real. If you were my friend and we were talking about whatever recruiting team, we would be having the same heated discussion, and it just happens to be online.
Like, yeah, Billy, you kill the party sometimes. Like sometimes, like we want to have more hope, and you just stab us right in the neck. Like we want to believe, and then
we want to have 5 for 5 letdowns. We want to have it all.
We want to make it turn into a meme. But no, like the good thing is now this staff doesn't, like Shay and I were talking about this the other day. They don't sources, and they don't think they're getting everyone. They don't think they don't have this huge, massive recruiting board, and they go after every single top 10 player at every position. And, a kid from Oregon who's a top 100 player at a top 10 in his position, we don't have to sit there and be like, nah, they're not going to get him. Sorry, guys. All the guys that they bring in for the most part are at least on the table, which is nice. So there's less hope to be killed.
Has NIL changed that now that I feel like it's much more organized when it's like, I feel like you either know or you don't know, where in the past it was like, we don't know, like it could be this. I feel like
who's going to
NIL
drive
like
to the Mississippi Waffle House at midnight on signing day to get this done? Now you figure it out earlier.
I mean, I think it's helped kind of coaches wade through some of the prospects, like Yonel Aguero, for example. I feel like that was a name early in NIL that was really high on LSU, but kind of quickly it was like, I don't think that's going to happen. And I think if we weren't able to talk about it, we would have to be like, well, they just kind of, Georgia's done this, or they press the right buttons. Where now we can just be like, yeah, we don't think it's going to happen because of NIL reasons or something else. So I don't know. It's just open up the floodgates on how we can talk about things.
Is Bryce Underwood going to break any records at LSU?
A few.
You think so?
I would think.
You think he's going to break some records? I mean,
Jaden Daniels
and Joe Burrow made some pretty tough records to break.
Yeah, we said that though about Burrow, and then Jaden Daniels comes around and does it. Yeah. So
I blame our defense for that, though.
Yeah, who would have ever thought defense was and secondary was where LSU would lack? Not us from back in the day when your WCA teammates weren't getting the ball thrown to them despite being long-time NFL players.
The power slam up the middle, like quick toss, it's engraved in my brain. I
forgot that. I can't remember if we asked you or if I asked you this. So the 2019 championship, you and I walked in together. You were not on media obligations that day. I was. But I think
we were at that party that I walked out, and if I thought it was like midnight, and I was like, it's 5:30, and I need to be going to bed, not going to a football game.
So I think I walked into the 19 game. You and Franny, maybe one of the Burrows, probably Dan Burrow.
Yeah, it's probably Dan.
We had the LSU and Auburn crews with us. But 2011, where were you for the national championship? Did you go to the Dome?
I was in the Dome. I had to watch that.
Did you spend some money? Was that your money? Did you?
I think my dad
tells their story of 2019 washed it away, the money that they spent to get tickets in 2011.
Yeah, my dad probably paid for the tickets. It was him and I, and we just, I mean, our defense played so good that game to keep it like somewhat close and give us like some glimmer of hope. And it was just the toughest scene ever because we all knew that the offense was broken and we probably couldn't beat them again. But still, we kind of felt like we'd be able to do something, and not crossing the 50-yard line is just, it's hilarious looking back. Hilarious that we couldn't cross the 50-yard line.
We talked about the T-Bob thread on our board before we got on. Maybe somewhere in those 100 pages, T-Bob talks about the halftime rumors and
I want to know
everything else.
That is the one LSU rumor.
I think he said it's not true. I think everyone's been like, I don't know where it started.
It put Jarrett Lee in. Just put him in.
Mettenberger was on that team too.
Met was
on the bench. That was his first year, wasn't it? Yeah.
Was he sitting out that year though?
Probably yes.
Probably,
it was just Lee and Jefferson.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It was a long time ago, 15 years ago, Smylie.
Yeah, Met was big. Like Met when he was there, he cracked me up, man, because he rolled with Connor Neighbors, who's obviously done some nice stuff in the training world, and Met, T-Bob, all those guys, man. Just some good times at Bogies.
Yeah. Did you ever have a doubt in 19 that when you walked into that stadium, even down 7-0, 14-0, whatever it was, that they were going to win? Because it doesn't seem any LSU fan we ever talked to ever had a doubt.
Never a doubt. Even I've just never been more confident in a team like that because our defense kept on getting better and better each game, and we had some dudes on that defense, guys that are still playing the league, Greedy, Delpit. I mean, some nice guys in the back end that just got better week in and week out, and that's when Aranda was still there. And the defense has just been so bad. Like at times over the last couple of years, it's been hard to watch. It's been tough.
Need some more young Stingley's.
Yeah, they just ain't growing on trees, and we ain't been getting them. So it's nice we got. I'm still with Corey. I'm like, I'm not here to crown him like King DB guy. Like, let's see if he can recruit. Let's see if he can get his dudes in. But like he's got to go out and coach these guys up, right? Like it's like show me first, because like we've seen too much.
The days of the top 5 defenses in the country giving up like 6-7 points a game are long gone. But we got to be halfway here a little bit.
Blake Baker's back, Corey Raymond's back, Bo Davis coaching D-line, so they've got a good defensive staff.
Jake Olsen is a good young promising coach.
Yeah, Kevin Peoples, isn't that his name? The outside end coach, like he coached a really good player up in Missouri. That I'm like, man, if he can do that with Womack, like that'd be sick. If he can develop some cool pass rushing moves for him, because I've been impressed with like the pictures they've been posting of the guys, like how much weight some of these guys have been putting on. Like Kyle Parker and Toviano both looked like they put on some good muscle this offseason. So I'm excited to see all those freshmen that were kind of put in positions to play last year that like weren't ready. They look like they've kind of grown and matured a little bit. I'm like, let's see what this crop does from our freshman year. That was a great recruiting class. How well those dudes are going to play.
I'm pumped for it. So Ole Miss, you'll be in town.
Hopefully. We'll see.
We'll see.
I'll let you know when I'm coming, though.
Yes, we will. We'll have some drinks. I actually saw Peoples must live in my neighborhood. I saw him at the grocery store yesterday, but it's one of those things. It was like the neighborhood grocery, and when I go up there, I just like leave the house, and then I like look down. I'm like not wearing shoes, or I don't have a shirt on, or something. And I was like, I can't go up to him right now and say anything, so I just let it slide. Didn't want to risk bothering him then, and him being like, that guy's a creep. I did not know, and we're all wearing our golf hats for Smylie today. Mine is the only one I have, a Houston golf hat. But Smylie, you brought up back in the day playing for Winstead, and y'all had the LSU Mike Swinging Tiger, very popular. Graphic, whatever you would call it. You got any throwback gear? Don't throw that away. That's probably worth something.
I got a bunch of LSU gear, but remember, I'm in enemy territory, so I rep it occasionally.
Are you talking about at home with the wife, or where's enemy territory? That's Auburn territory there.
It's in the home. It's outside the home. I mean, I'm just in Alabama, Auburn territory. So it's nice when SEC baseball comes into town. So I'll definitely get out to the Hoover Met. I went out and watched us play Tennessee, that championship game, which how do you get thrown out at first base, Milam? I love you, Monster Milam, but what are we doing? We got bases loaded. We get thrown out at first base. Like, come on. I want to see Ethan Frey.
That was a fun week of baseball.
It was. I was like, let me see if Ethan Frey is a guy or not. And unfortunately, we didn't get to see. So, but it was what a wild year in baseball. I'm still like, we never were gonna win it all, but it would have been sweet for us to make it to Omaha. But it seems like we got a head start on baseball recruiting. So part of me is like, if it helps us for next year, have a chance to actually win, then I'm all in.
Yeah, it's crazy. They're out there scooping up all the portal players while Tennessee and A&M are still playing baseball.
That was us last year. I feel like we were late to the party on upgrading our roster with some pieces that we probably didn't know we needed heading into the year. We had some dudes like it all. I talked myself into we were gonna have the best pitching staff of all time, and then it was like, man. Then first half of the year happened. I was like, I guess maybe not. And then they all started showing up later in the year, and
I feel like that team last year, and now watching what Skeens has done and Cruz is in AAA, but it's like that 19 team when they got in the NFL, and you're like, yeah, I'm sure they did beat everybody and win the national championship. Like MLBers can't hit Skeens, let alone some college kids.
Yeah.
But a golf, as y'all know, Smiley's a diehard LSU fan here, so we can talk about everything but golf, and he'll know it. But on golf, I did not know, and as you noted, you played for Winstead. I didn't even know East Tennessee State had a golf team. Evidently, they've made 4 straight NCAAs. Their coach, Jake Amos, is now LSU's coach. Do you know anything about him? Is there any kind of buzz around from former players about the hire? Because track record wise, it seems like they're hiring a pretty good coach.
So I don't know Jake. Him and I have exchanged some text messages, and he's obviously what you just said. It comes from East Tennessee State, from England. Played golf at SMU underneath Joshua Gregory, who's I think one of the better college coaches to come through over the last 10 to 20 years. He's coached Bryson DeChambeau, Harry Higgs. God, who's the other one? Patrick Reed. Anyways, Josh, he was also the coach over at Augusta State, which had a different name back in the day. But anyways, he played for him at SMU. So he comes from that tree, which I like, because Josh is I think one of the better coaches. If you weren't underneath him, that's a great place to start. I think it's an interesting time for LSU golf because we had some dudes come through LSU, like some really good players. And I think this team overachieving the second half of the year and making nationals and getting through regionals at LSU was a huge monumental step for us to keep momentum going in our program, because we hadn't made nationals since 19, which is we established LSU as being a top 10 program over the decade before that, just with the dudes that were there, the results, winning a national championship. So it's a big seat to fill for Jake after Chuck, because Chuck has brought LSU golf back into a national picture. It's a program that carries a lot of weight with a lot of junior golfers, and especially in the SEC, it's considered to be a top program. But just like any other sport now, the SEC is going to be so damn competitive in just about every sport. And golf is look no further than golf. It's now adding Texas and Oklahoma, two of the better programs. You just got to keep improving. You got to keep recruiting and keep upgrading facilities. I know Garrett Runyon who was my assistant coach on the men's team, who's now crushing it on the women's side, has established the women's program as a top program in the country. So hopefully the men's side can kind of get us back into the conversation of being a consistent team that makes it into nationals, a contender for the SEC. And yeah, I'm happy obviously to help in any way that I can. I know he's already got some good recruits coming from East Tennessee State. So we already got some studs that are coming. So, and mixed in with what already we have there, some good young talent that are hungry to kind of prove themselves. I'm looking to see what Jake can do. And obviously I'm happy to help in any way too.
Well,
Ingrid, people don't know, LSU golf has had one of the best women's players in the world. What, Smylie?
Yeah,
the country, I mean, Ingrid is pretty highly ranked, huh?
Yeah, the best two women, really. It's Ingrid Lindblad, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. And Watana Stone. She's absolutely been epic. So good. She almost won the ANWA, and so did Ingrid. So it's been really impressive to watch what Garrett's done over that women's side, because there's been some great players that come from that side as well. Madeline Sackstrom's done very well on the women's tour. Austin Ernst had a great career. Now I believe she's an assistant coach at Texas A&M, which is very sad, because I saw Austin in the airport. She's like, "You're going to hate me, but I'm taking a job at Texas A&M." I was like, "I do hate you, but good luck."
It's just a stepping stone, hopefully. On
yeah.
to the next spot after that.
Maybe so.
Well, as you heard it from Smylie first, LSU's a women's golf school now. That's just how it is.
We're a women's a lot of school now. I mean,
we are a women's a lot of school. That is true. We told you we'd keep you like 20 minutes. We've gone way beyond that, so we won't drag you out much longer. Billy, it's also been an SMU pod. Billy's over here loving it as the SMU grad on the pod. Me and Smylie, I don't know, did we get our degrees from LSU? We did. We graduated. They gave us paper, Smylie.
Let's go. I have a reoccurring dream, though, that I still have one more class at LSU to graduate. So I every time you like say that, I'm like, wait, did I graduate?
Yeah, I think that dream lasted until probably my 30s. I don't have them anymore where it's like, oh, I missed class today or whatever. It's a good feeling.
School's a nightmare. I hated school. But I loved going to LSU.
That's the balance. If you hate school, you should just go to LSU. It's fun. They make school fun.
Well, this has been awesome. Do you have an early open pick?
Early open pick.
We'll let you go.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Rory McIlroy to win the Open Championship. I'm here for a good storyline, so let me go with Rory to win that. And yeah, thanks you for having me on, guys. It's been a lot of fun chit-chatting. And, I don't really listen to many podcasts for somebody who is a podcaster now. The Bengal Tigers where I hang out and listen when I'm working out. So I love you guys and all the updates that you give for somebody who's got a kid and doesn't have time to sort through all the threads that we have. Sometimes these threads can get deep. So I appreciate you guys doing this podcast. It helps the dads out there be able to get their info while they're working out.
I'll tell you, I ran into it's camp season. I ran into Joe Sloan, LSU's OC. I told him you were coming on. He told me to tell you that he enjoyed your interview with Bryson. So don't worry, people, even OCs out there are listening to you. Smylie, you're doing well.
I've heard that Coach Kelly's a big golfer too, so I'm gonna have to go and meet him at some point. So I want to come to practice at some point during 1 year to where I can kind of meet everybody and watch these guys up close.
Well, we need to send you and Kelly out there to swing the sticks. Then you come back and you just tell us everything that's happening with LSU football. You'll be our new insider.
Yeah. Call me Mr. Scoops on the board. That's all we need.
We'll get the username changed. People will be searching threads for you. But this has been awesome. Thanks so much for coming on, Smylie. You can follow him on Twitter, Smylie Kaufman 10. His podcast was a 10, and so is his. So follow him there, and we'll have to do it again.
Yeah,
subscribe to the Smylie Show. Yep. Watch him on NBC. Watch him on Golf Channel, wherever he's popping up. You're looking at our hotel rooms, I presume.
Yeah, this is a hotel room here this week. So excited to have a couple weeks off before heading to Lake Tahoe for the American Century. So that'll be a fun one.
God, life is tough. Life is tough.
It's nice not having to write a score down anymore. It's fun to never miss a cut again. That's great.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks so much for doing this, Smylie, and for everybody at the Bengal Tiger. We appreciate you jumping on with us.
All right, we love you, Smylie.
Hey, go Tigers.
Very good job.